Day 1, Descartes Rule of Signs when we're solving polynomials. The first thing that we're going to do is we are going to complete this warm-up. Make sure that you do the beginning of the warm-up. You're going to show that for a grade. And then when you are ready to proceed, go ahead and stop the video now. When you are ready to proceed, copy these down and then hit play, and I'll talk about what we're going to do. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. First of all, we're going to look at input versus opposite input. Input is just going to be x. Opposite input is going to be negative x. There's something that happens here that's super easy to pick up on. We're just going to go ahead and talk about it before we jump into the lesson. So what we're going to do is we are going to analyze a regular input. Whatever the input is, it's substituted right here. And then we're just going to observe what this polynomial says. X to the fifth plus x to the third plus 2x squared minus 12x plus 8. That's the existing current input. Let's analyze what happens when we do the opposite input. So basically, all we're doing is just putting in a negative where there was a positive. Okay, so remember your rules for exponents that are odd. If you raise a negative number to an odd exponent, it's negative. If you raise a negative number to an even exponent, oh, I forgot my 2 there. Put a 2 there. Feel free to tell me about that little mistake there. This is going to be this even exponent is going to give you a positive answer. So this term right here is not going to change. Let me go ahead and simplify what this is going to look like. So remember, any negative number raised to an odd power is going to be negative. This is going to be a negative, so I'm going to replace this plus sign with a minus sign. Now remember, this turns into a positive number. A positive number times 2 is going to stay plus 2x squared. And then look here, a negative times a negative is a positive. So this is going to turn into a positive 12x plus 8. So when the input is the opposite, what is very important for you to understand is that anything to an odd number is going to change the sign. Anything to an even number is going to stay the same because it is going to turn out to be a positive answer. Let's look at this next example right here. I'm going to do the same thing I read right here. I'm going to do the same thing right here. I'm going to put an opposite input and just kind of notice what happens to the polynomial. So let's go ahead and drop in a negative x. So this is going to be replaced with a negative value. Okay, so this is going to turn into negative, even, turns even. I'm sorry, turns positive. Negative, odd. This is going to be a negative times a negative, which turns into a positive term. This is going to be a positive times a positive, which stays plus 35x squared. Negative times a positive is a negative, and then we're going to go ahead and write the minus 45. Okay, so here is what you must really understand to make the rest of this stuff not too tough. Anytime you put in a negative value for an odd exponent, notice this sign changed. So did this one because it's odd. It used to be a plus sign. Notice now it's a minus sign. This was an even exponent. Look, it stayed a positive 2x. It didn't change. However, this was to an odd. This is understood to be to the first power. Notice this sign changed. Let's let's look down here. So if you notice, this is an even exponent. This stayed a positive 2x to the fourth. This was an odd exponent. Notice how this changed to a positive value. Notice how this stayed the same because of an even exponent. Look, the 9 changed because this x is to an odd exponent, and of course the 45 doesn't matter because it doesn't have an x anyway. So here is the conclusion. Anytime you plug in a negative x with an odd power, the sign changes. Remember, if it's an even power, it stays the same. But if it is odd, the sign changes. Very, very important for the next part of our lesson, which is going to happen right now.